clinic, they look at A1C.
I think we're back on.
Cool. Any idea where we might have died out at?
Did you guys hear about A1C? Also, somebody mentioned a question earlier about a drug called Belviq, which is a weight loss drug. I don't actually know the pharmacology associated with this drug.
Yeah,
so
you're the pharmaceutical guy.
I'm the molecular guy, and I don't know the mechanism of this drug, so it's hard for me to say, or its clinical relevance, or how it did in clinical trials. So if you DM me, instant message me, whatever the case may be, I will definitely do some research for you and let you know what my perspective is on that drug.
So let's talk about.
Let's talk about.
Right. I think we're back.
You have a music guy, right?
Yeah.
That would have been a great segue.
Actually, the DJs
We
are
need
texting.
to not do music because they will cut us off. Oh yeah, Facebook now,
Really?
Instagram. If you have music on in the background that's copyrighted, they'll instantly take it.
So no Omarion or anything. You got
Nope, nothing. So first 15 minutes of workout, warm up, 10 minutes, whatever that you have, warm up. That's when you're going through more of a aerobic or burning through all your blood glucose. So once you burn through your blood glucose, you're warmed up, you got a little bit of that glycerin on, and you're about to go hit the weights. So let's say I want to do, just a typical, I don't even care, biceps.
Right.
I want to do biceps and triceps. It is curls for the girls, tris for the guys. I am trying to look swole for the weekend. It's Friday night. So.
And I've seen you do this.
I have.
I just have never heard
He tears this gym
put
up.
together and that's it.
Curls for the girls.
Curls for the
Yeah,
girls.
I've never
Yeah, tries for the guys.
Because if you see a guy with big biceps and little triceps, you're like, oh, you can get beat up. But if you see them big triceps, pow, pow, pow.
Yeah, usually I just is he gonna take a bullet? He's gonna go down. Yeah, that's as far as that thought process goes for me.
But my whole thing is, at that point in time, you're going to start pumping some iron. You're going to be using your glycogen reserves. And, at about 25 minutes to 30 minutes of constant working out, that's when you're in your fat burn stage. However,
So guys, us meatheads decided that we were going to walk on an incline treadmill first thing in the morning because we were going to burn through glycogen, which means we were going to trim up for the summer. Was that working? Is that how that works?
I think it could, yeah. And then basically, you're getting to the point where you're going to burn through your glycogen reserves. And even as we said, our professor goes, brisk walking, high incline. If you're in that fat burn stage, you're going to burn fat. You're going to start going over to that beta oxidation. We're going to start breaking down those long-chain fatty acids into smaller chains and smaller chains. I forget the calculations. Remember the calculations for how much ATP?
Depends on the fatty acid chain.
So if it's 16 carbons long.
I don't know.
It's you reduce by 2, you reduce by 2, reduce by 2, and then you get acetyl-CoA.
Yeah.
And acetyl-CoA gives you X amount of ATP, just like we were all saying about energy and.
Yeah. Actually, hydroxybutyrate gets turned into acetyl-CoA in the brain.
Yeah.
But in the case of, let's say we did that warm up, and now I got my team out on the football field, and we want to actually perform. Is that a good thing? So basically, my question to you is, would it make sense to try to do something so we had more glycogen so that we wouldn't burn through it as quickly from a performance perspective, or should we be sipping on a performance drink kind of thing?
And that's the reason why most people say if you're not working out to a high level or a high degree, Gatorade's not good for you.
Right.
It's super packed with sugar. It's got a lot of calories in it, and you're going to start storing that as fat. So it kind of goes both ways. And, in what the documentary, I don't want to get copyrighted.
No, you're good. Yeah.
What the heck? They basically say that if you
can say what the hell.
What the health, I hate that. I don't
trash.
want to give them any more.
It's my opinion. It's trash. Documentary.
Trash. But they throw out all recognition of any physiological pathway. So basically, if you're burning fat, you're in that stage. Yeah, drink a Gatorade because that's going to give you more blood glucose, so you can actually go a little quicker, especially when you're doing anaerobic
That's performance,
respiration.
and that's what we're talking about. And all.
Right.
So again, when we're talking about the idea of a typical person going to the gym who's actually looking to maybe reduce a little body fat, get a really good pump going, that kind of thing, they may like the idea of being a little bit deficient. Same thing with a bodybuilder getting on stage, right? That might be a good thing. Sometimes a nice dehydrated look, that's it. But when we're talking about performance, it might be a different deal.
Oh, yeah. You see rugby players. They look like me. They got a little bit of extra in the middle. They have to go for 80 minutes of just constant.
Well, these guys have super high muscle mass.
Oh,
so bodybuilders, rugby players, these guys. Yeah, these guys have like so I mean just metabolism for normal people who like it's hard to say whether or not we can compare these two because these guys are like 210 pounds and they're 70% or no they're not that high, but they have like high just raw parts of their body just muscle, right? And so that changes like just the baseline metabolism associated with anything that they do.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. If you eat fats, will you get fat? Or if you eat carbs, will you not get fat?
If you eat
because that's basically what that documentary said.
If you eat food and you don't exercise or burn that, it could be in any form you want. It could be in celery for crying out loud.
Because it's a calorie surplus.
Right, that's what it's about.
Yeah. Celery.
So it's one of these negative calorie things, right? It's
the one thing that you chose. No, but if you literally eat nothing but, Twinkies and bonbons, and you only eat like 6 Twinkies in a day, you're gonna lose weight. You said before we got on air that the guy that literally.
Right, this was a physician that pretty much was like to prove points and things of that sort. Pretty much, I'm just gonna eat Twinkies. He says, this is my caloric intake. I'm gonna eat 1,100 calories a day, and 1,100 calories is gonna come from Twinkies.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, you lost weight.
Yeah.
Question for you though. Can you maintain muscle with 1,100 calories coming from Twinkies?
So that's the thing. If you're in a
proteins are not created equal.
Yeah, exactly. However, at the same time, you will atrophy, but the first thing you do lose when you're doing a caloric restriction is going to be muscle. It's easier for your body, like when you're sick. When you actually get a really bad cold and your body needs a whole bunch of proteins to rebuild everything else, like B cells and T cells, and things to make that.
Using
So
muscle
guys,
for
want to
energy
lose some
burn.
muscle, eat 1,100 calories worth of Twinkies.
Yeah, that's what we don't do.
The
thing is, so there's two things that go into being able to build muscle. One is activity and two is calories, right? You need ATP to build muscle, and because the sheer molecular action of stringing amino acids together requires energy. It's actually the most energy demanding molecular process, building proteins. So if the ATP isn't there, you're not going to be able to build proteins. Right. But you need amino acids, right? So you need protein source. Yep. Whether it's from, steak or, green casserole, whatever you want.
Sure.
You need the amino acids there so that you can actually have the raw building blocks to do that, right? So there's definitely these two things that if you don't have enough calories and it's just pure protein, you can still lose weight and still atrophy because you have an energy deficit there. And your body's going to say, well, we need these glucose from somewhere.
So I heard about macros. I think you might be a little bit more in tune with what a macro is and a micro is. And
I think only because I'm looked at as a bro here.
If
it fits in your macros,
all my fitness people.
Yeah, I mean,
as soon as they get into fitness,
it's like, bro, you gotta count your macros. You gotta count your macros. Yeah, I mean, look, if we're gonna talk about like carbs, protein, fats, obviously, like everybody that dives into those diets is probably paying attention. I think alcohol, I think that's another one that we're looking at now too. That's actually factors in there.
Yeah, so alcohol gives you what? 29.4 kilojoules per calorie.
So let's.
Or is that like when if we're going like say per calorie, so to speak, where they go like the 3s on the protein and carb and 9 on the fat.
7
alcohol. Yeah. Right. And guys, I think that's huge too because I'm not a big drinker. I like alcohol, but I'm not a big drinker. And I think that a lot of times when I look at people's diets on MyFitnessPal, it's interesting how a lot of times alcohol doesn't get thrown in the mix. Or if it does, they're only just thinking calories and they're not actually thinking about why those calories exist. And the fact that alcohol is, in my mind, it's expensive.
It is,
A fifth of vodka, I think, is around 2,500 calories.
I don't know how you know that. But anyhow.
I like alcohol.
But yeah, so in biochemistry and caloric measurements, things are calculated in kilojoules, but the 4 calories for carbs, 4 calories for protein, 9 calories for 9, 7.5 for alcohol. Kilocalories. Yeah, that calculation comes from the amount of like heat energy that's released with these things broken down. But yeah, that's super important. Ultimately, the whole macro thing pretty much is like when it comes to weight loss. And as far as macros, is that vitamins? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
Micronutrients? Okay.
Yeah, so now we're actually going to
get
into
your coenzymes, like your vitamin D, your B vitamins, different things like that.
Vitamin B12?
Retinoic acid, all those kind of things.
I can't think of any other vitamins.
Vitamin D?
Right, true. Yeah, but you don't really take that to get synthesized. Right.
C. It's all a bunch of letters.
D, E.
B6, B12, B4, B19.
My education is meaningless.
So
I just worked at a vitamin store, man.
Right.
That was it. I felt like that might have been more valuable in college.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing, though. For the people that don't know the purpose of vitamins, a lot of biochemical reactions actually use vitamins as cofactors.
Oh, so you have an enzyme.
You have an enzyme.
That does something.
Right. You got a Pac-Man. Just got a mouth thingy. And you have a molecule over here. And this Pac-Man wants to turn that molecule into this chair. And it goes, wait, how do I do that? I need a shoe. And that shoe is vitamin B, whatever, right? You know, papathenic acid or whatever. And it takes that molecule, puts it in a complex, and it allows for a complex chemical reaction that allows you to get things moving. So this is where we're talking about whether something is nutritionally dense or not. This is the aspect of health that pretty much, which is more of a push on eating a more balanced meal between more vegetables and things like that. Because, you know, there's only so many vitamins in steak.
And then, yeah, exactly.
Steak's great, by the way.
You guys have probably heard about some testing out there where you can actually like test to see if someone's like kind of what they're deficient on.
Yeah, I'm vitamin D deficient.
Yeah.
Look at me, I'm paler than, you know,
See,
Casper.
get outside more.
So it's interesting, like you'll hear about that in the performance community, like usually the best of the best. These guys will go through some things and not only try to figure out what vitamins they could be deficient on, but also to a certain level, like how well the food choices they're making are actually like affecting their performance, affecting just how their body's like just going through everyday life.
So I have a comment on this because I think a lot of it is just because, you know, they're in this setting in which like performance matters. So like, you want this competitive edge. So you just turn everything into, you know, this just super
The best.
But I think a lot of times it's if you eat a well-balanced diet, I mean, you know, you fish once a week and you don't drink a lot of alcohol, you have plenty of fruits and vegetables and meat here, occasional red meat here and there, you won't be vitamin, especially if you live in a first world country. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be vitamin deficient in anything unless you have some genetic predisposition or something like that. Because I've even heard of things of people taking parental IVs. Yeah, which is like, yeah, I've worked out, so now I need an IV. No, drink a Gatorade and eat a salad. You'll be fine. Like, it's not that serious.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. So I think it's more of an overkill type thing.
So we're about an hour. So let's just say what's the most important thing about fitness? If you had to pick out one thing, what would you say for somebody that's going from couch potato to healthy?
Cocaine.
Hire a coach. Cocaine. Your coach will usually advise you against cocaine.
I would too.
Hire a coach. This is the biggest thing for me. Again, this maybe just a plug for me being a coach. But at the same time, like I have a boxing coach, and he is actually like he's a client of mine. He is a strength and conditioning coach. If someone is taking the time to get expert at something, like listen to him, interview that person, like be really skeptical. Don't just go, yeah, you're gonna be in shape. That's fine. I don't care. But like hire a coach. Don't assume because you read like a muscle and fitness magazine or because you worked out before you got it like that. Like I swear to you, there's nothing wrong with reaching out to someone who knows more than you.
Yeah. And
I do it all the time. I mean, I'm going out to a training seminar where, like, if you think about it, that's me paying for training. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's it. I think like the big thing that bothers me is I'll hear people say, "Hey, I'm going to come back to the gym. I'm going to get myself in really good shape. And then as soon as I get in good shape, I'm going to hire you." And it's like, well, I don't really understand what you mean.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, because like I probably can't handle your training. I said, no, hold on a second, hold on. So you actually think that you can deal with your deconditioned self better than me?
Yeah.
What does that say about my education? If you're better than that, I shouldn't be doing this.
Right, yeah.
Shit, what do you do for a living? You guys hiring? Because maybe I need to do that.
I think that comes down to the depth of expertise. Everybody can go on Wikipedia or.
Shout out to Wikipedia, has gotten exponentially better.
It was
over the years.
A professor today actually quoted Wikipedia in a lot of his.
I got in trouble for that. Now I'm hearing kids using Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, and at the same time, like Pinterest and stuff like that, YouTube, like, look, they're great resources. I get asked about that stuff a lot and all. They're great resources, and I think if you're looking for a way to stay motivated, you see a cool workout on there. I'm not saying don't do it and all. Like, look, we all like to try to challenge ourselves, but at the same time, I think from the idea that you could just kind of, without having any real experience, just be able to see a couple cool workouts and decide, like, well, those are cool workouts that should get me in shape. I don't think that's necessarily going to be able to get you to exactly where you want to get to. It's probably going to make you sweat. It might make you sore, but that really doesn't mean that it's a good workout. And even if you felt like it was a good workout, is it really good training? right? And what I mean by training is it really going to allow you to have enough of the right kind of stress to activate the right kind of genes to maybe get to where you want to get to?
I've got two things because they're super popular right now, or they've been super popular. One is coconut oil, which is like obviously God's nutritional gift to the world, I guess. But so I did a little bit of research on coconut oil, and I
think it tastes good.
It is high. I think it tastes like shit. I think it's high. I think it's high in medium chain fatty acids, and then I started to read up on medium chain fatty acids, and pretty much unless like you have some type of issue, most people don't ever eat medium chain fatty acids in most climates because they only come in coconuts and like some other branded fucking fruit I've never heard of. So, I mean, as far as the necessity to have that, or is it incorporation into one's diet, do you think that's important? And follow-up question, branched chain amino acids, which is also super popular, which recently I've kind of seen the clinical study about it, and I think that it's one of these things where it possibly may not be beneficial if you have other things going for it. Go ahead.
Okay. Coconut oil, I like how I'm getting thrown on that one. I don't use it. I used to use it. Right now, I'm on the new fad of avocado oil, right? And the only reason why I switched it, so I switched it because, like, again, like I'm an egg guy, right? Someone was making eggs in the morning, and I was told, hey, if you're heating up that olive oil, there's a chance that olive oil might be bad for you. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't want anything bad for me. I'm a health guy. What do I need? You know what you need to get? You need to get yourself some coconut oil or some grapeseed oil. So now I'm doing that, right? And they're like, well, no. They don't have the same kind of like hot, the hot point. So they're like, you need avocado oil. So then I'm like, all right, well, I'm an idiot, so I'm gonna go do this, right? I hear someone told me they said for coconut oil, though, it's great. And all like right there with your kale as you're cooking it, and it comes right out of the trash. Easier. It never sticks. You can just dump that right out. And BCAAs, man. I grew up taking BCAAs. I try to go to examine.com pretty regularly because it seems like they're experts. Again, and that's me just being honest. Like that's not my area. But what I would say is it seems like BCAAs, if you're one of those people that's doing everything right and you are willing to spend the money and you really do have like money that you can kind of toss, I don't think that all the studies on BCAAs made it seem like it was worthless. So doing that while you're training and exerting yourself at a high level, it may make some sense to take it. But I think one of the things that and this was a kind of cool thing I want to get into was after you train, I think a lot of people feel like training, you should get done training and then there should be like no soreness. You're always trying to cheat recover. You want to recover quicker. You don't want to be sore. This whole idea, like if you're sore, it's bad.
Testosterone.
It's weird, but like that's kind of it. Like your body feeling what happened to it is enough for you to disrupt homeostasis and that like allostasis process to happen. And basically, your body's going like that sucked, and I'm going to build everything I can so that doesn't happen again. So yeah, maybe taking some BCAAs, especially when like you're in like a heavy training week, that's good. But let's not overdo it. Let's not take every supplement all the time. Maybe give your body a rest. Maybe do it with very little supplements. And then maybe when you get into like a really hard training block, it'll be that much more effective. I think that maybe.
I actually think that's great advice because a lot of the time on these shows that me and Dave have, we get called pharma shills, which is pretty much you get paid by, and we're like the pharmaceutical doesn't line our pockets, with sugar.
I'm still waiting for my round.
And it's interesting because I mention this all the time against people, and like people are like fitness guys, and you're a coach, and they're like, buy this supplement from my website that's great and all natural and gives you a BJ, and all of a sudden it's like the supplement industry is like a huge billion-dollar industry, and nobody bats an eyelash at that.
Just like other supplements, like homeopathic medicine.
Right.
And then actually, that's a plug for next show. We're actually going to talk about alternative medicine. So,
but I think that recommendation, as far as just not taking every supplement that's on the market, because so much of it is marketing, and people want to get healthy. We have a generation that is more health conscious, and I feel like reaching out to people that are actually aware of the fitness and things of that sort, it's probably going to do you better than going and blowing your next paycheck on the stuff that's advertised really well.
Yeah, I think it's it. They look at people who are willing to invest their time into exercise and really feel like, well, if we play on their insecurities a bit and say, hey, you're really good, but if you got this right here, this is the next thing. And we all want the next thing. And I think that comes out of cell phones, that comes out of anything we're doing tomorrow. So, I think that's really why the less is more approach, I think, makes some sense. And again, lowest effective dose, they all seem to make sense. So again, if you are thinking about taking a supplement,
Yeah.
You know?
It's like the chrysanthemum stem. Chrysanthemum root was in like Jack 3D.
I'll spell that.
Jack 3D. Yes. But it was it caused people to have heart attacks and heart palpitations. It was taken off the market because of that. Or like ephedra. Like ephedra was big back in the day. You know, just giving yourself.
And it's actually that used to be Broncaid. Was that what?
No.
Yeah. Was that the same drug?
No,
it was what killed Corey Stringer, they said, but really, man, the man died in heat stroke. It seemed like he didn't have like a really great off season. Seemed like he was a really talented football player. I won't say anything bad about him, but I don't think he actually had done the preparation to get out there and prep his body for this. So I think he put himself in a situation where he took that fat burner thinking he wanted to drop some weight. And again, if you put that much stress on a big body like that, having worked really hard and probably wasn't hydrated enough and just created just like the perfect storm and all, it can take down a big, young, strong person.
I want to agree with you there too, because I think a lot of times there's like a misconception about, I mean, you take the broest bro in this gym, he is nowhere near the physical shape as some like NFL player. Yeah. Because like I have two football college roommates who are freaks athletically, and they're like my size. Yeah. These guys out here squatting like 500 pounds or something like that, and I'm just like, I don't even see how this is physically possible. And they're freaks of nature. And when you get to the NFL level, it's even harder and bigger. So I think like you're putting so much stress on your body, anything can kind of like turn you the wrong way if you're not in the proper conditioning.
And those guys, I think, again, you know, it's good to have a guy like you around and all because, well, were you a Temple?
No, for undergrad?
Yeah.
No.
FAU.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna say like I was just seeing something on Temple though. And again, they have a good coach over there. But I think it's tough because I think for those guys, they realize that there's a chance that they could be successful down the road. So they're more willing to do things that are even more dangerous.
Oh,
right? Yeah.
Another plug. 2 weeks, we're going to be doing the Juice anabolic steroids. God, you guys are great setting this up. It's perfect. But we're about an hour in. I think we're actually over an hour. So thank you guys. Thank you, Eric, for joining us. I really appreciate it. Woo! All right, guys.
Hit me up for these notes, by the way. They're extremely informative about metabolism, some biochemistry stuff.
We're going to post it on the website. We'll post this on the YouTube. And then, well, thanks, guys. It was great.
Also, if you have any questions for this guy right here, please let us know. We can drop his information.
His IG will be thrown up on our website. We'll also share it on his IG, and we'll go from there. We're going to give like a little clip. And then big shout out again. Thank you, Jeff Shablin and Yul Giraldo, for letting us use Optimal Sport Health Club's 1315 here in Philadelphia at 1315 Walnut Street. I think the best bang for your buck gym in Center City. So check us out. And, if you want some training by the man here himself, I'm out of the training game. I'm in the PhD game now.
I'm in the food game. If you want to get lunch or something like that, let me know. There's restaurants in Center City.
All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you for joining us.